Commission minutes.
Hey, Wayne.
Good evening. I'm Wayne Clark. I'll call this meeting to order. Mayor Dan is out this evening, so here I am. And I appreciate the massive turnout of members and the nice participation by the citizens. As a side note, a longtime member of this commission, Jim Lisinski, died yesterday. Some of you may know him. Remember him, may have worked with him. I certainly had a pleasure of, as did Steve for many years. First item will be a call to order.
Thank you. Wayne Clark.
Yes.
Eric Torkelson.
Here.
Brian Frank.
Here.
Brennan Renke.
Here.
David Roshka.
Here.
Jessica Katzenmeyer.
Here.
Kathleen Dagenhart.
Here.
Lisa Coons.
Here.
Mayor Dan Devine is excused.
So we have a quorum, and first item will be the approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a second and a first, of course. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. New and previous matters. The first is the conditional use permit for the Armory Hockey Development Center. Who's going to take the lead on it?
I'll be taking the lead, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this property at 1111 West Greenfield Avenue is currently next to Festival Foods. There's a vacant spot on that southern portion of the existing building. The proposed use for this project is an instruction training center, 31 or more people, that's the zoning use. Zoning for this property is C3. Because of the use, it does require a conditional use permit. So that's what this review will be for tonight. The proposed hours of operation for the Armory is in season. This is September through May. There's two different sectors, Monday through Friday, largely operating from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. by appointment, and then Saturday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Summer hours include June through August, and this has a little wider hours at 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Saturday through Sunday, we have 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The Armory Hockey Development Center expects to hire 2 to 3 full-time employees and 5 to 10 part-time seasonal employees. Anticipated opening for this Hockey Development Center is June 2025. Essentially, this will be Wisconsin's first purpose-built hockey training facility in the area, and it'll use synthetic ice and advanced training tools to provide a cost-effective alternative to traditional on-ice training. And we also have the applicant Tony Donovan here representing. Landscaping and parking. Not much is changing on the site at all. In fact, nothing is. The site was built as part of the Festival Foods development within the last decade. So the Armory will be on the southern portion of the existing building. They won't be changing anything with the parking. There's about 124 parking stalls directly in front of the tenant space. Overall, there's over 500 parking stalls as part of this entire development that can be shared. And then as for refuse, there's a shared refuse area in the rear behind the building that's existing. All right, moving on to the floor plan. The applicant provided 3 different options. What we're looking at right now is the primary option for the site. So this primary option shows an existing entrance on the east side of the building. Immediately you'll be entered into a lobby and reception area. From there, there's a small walkway that leads you into a pro shop, which has retail items, restrooms, and then immediately next to that is a full-scale gym where athletes will train with full-strength training equipment. Next to that is a floor hockey and multi-sport court used for training purposes. And then immediately next to that is a rapid shot training system, which is similar to a batting cage, but it's utilized for hockey instead of baseball. And then immediately next to that is a synthetic ice rink and shooting range. There will be no traditional on regular ice hockey at this facility. It'll be synthetic use. And then along the wall is just a walkway with an open changing area for patrons to utilize. Overall, this is the primary option that was given as part of this project. The other two options vary, but they're very minor changes. One of the options opts to remove the rapid shot training system, and then another option opts to switch the dryland weight training area into a bigger space and have the synthetic ice rink be smaller. So there's not a major change between the floor plans. Going on to the next architectural plan. Since this building was developed so recently, there are no changes planned for the exterior architecture other than signage. They will utilize that front and rear exit. As you can see right here, here's the front exit for the property, or front entrance. With that being said, we have a recommendation for approval for the conditional use and approval of the site landscaping architectural design review for the armory, subject to common council approval of the conditional use permit, building permits being applied for, and signage permits being applied for. Thank you.
Jack, would you explain the options relative to who's going to make that decision, the developer, and what's going to drive that?
Yeah, so we've had a meeting with the real estate broker and then Tony Donovan, who is here for from the Armory Hockey Development Training Center. Based on code, that might be something that influences the decision on the floor plan, but if you'd like to speak more on it, Tony,
Sure.
we'd be open to hearing.
So specifically around the different options of the floor plan, is that what you're?
And I'm just wondering, at what point do you come down on what option you're going to go with? What's going to drive that?
So that the biggest driver in that is, well, there's a couple of things. In order to open and take advantage of the summer months, some of it is the lead time of the items. The rapid shot in particular is a longer lead time item. So that I wouldn't want to hold off on opening the facility just to wait for that one piece of equipment. That is also a fairly expensive piece of equipment. It's mechanical. So there's other factors where you can only have one client in there shooting at one time. So there's some complexity with monetizing that piece of equipment. It will be a big draw. So like on the positive side, it's a big draw because it's kind of fun for the athlete. It's it registers your shot speed, your shot accuracy, stuff like that. So they get data from the machine. But there's also advantages to expanding the turf area, at least at the outset. The cost involved with that is minimal compared to the rapid shot, and that doesn't prevent me from putting a rapid shot in at a later date, because it would essentially just go on top of the expanded turf area. So that's really the biggest question there. The rink itself will stay the same size. Pretty locked on that. It really just comes down to, do I expand the turf and do the rapid shot later on and take some time to determine, is that really what I want in there, or do I just put the rapid shot in from the outset? The floor hockey rink is 100% portable. The boards that I will be using to fully contain that area, it's actually designed for outdoor ice rinks. It's a company called Easy Ice. So very easy to take up, to set it up, take it down as needed. It won't be anchored at all, where the boards for the synthetic ice rink will be actual hockey boards that you would see at any ice rink. So those will be pretty heavy duty and anchored in to the flooring so that they are stable enough and don't move.
Tony, if I may, do you own other facilities?
I do not. This is a startup. This is my first go at this. Been a long time hockey coach. Have lots of contacts within the industry even up at the highest levels. People, some of the people that are helping me design this are, one of them in particular is a strength and conditioning coach in St. Louis that was a former pro hockey player that now trains NHL players. They come back to St. Louis just to be trained by him. So he helped me design the gym area in particular to be the most efficient training experience for the athletes and for the instructors that would be coaching that area. So
Thank you. It sounds exciting. Members, any questions? Discussion? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve. I'll second
We have
it.
a motion and a second. Those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Good luck to you. Sounds exciting. We'll move on to the next item, which is conditional use permit for Academy of Excellence, a proposed school use at 6021 West Lincoln.
Thank you, Wayne. The St. Rita's campus is part of St. Barnabas congregation, which includes St. Augustine's as well as Holy Assumption and the St. Rita's. And St. Barnabas is interested in selling the St. Rita's facility here, a portion of it, the school on 60th and Lincoln. And that's the taller 5-story building in the foreground of that picture there. With me tonight are members of both, St. Rita's as well as the Academy of Excellence, and we can introduce them later as they see fit. But basically, what's proposed here is a high school to be a Christian-based high school within the former St. Rita's school. That portion, if you recall, late last year before Planning Commission, there was a CSM submitted to split off that roughly about 1 acre chunk of land on the very north end cap of the block, which includes the school. The church and rectory and north parking lot there are a separate parcel, and then the kinder care area and that south parking lot are separate parcels. But the Academy of Excellence is interested in purchasing the former school and then also leasing that north parking lot and the gymnasium for the future high school. We'll get into more details here to come. But the zoning is commercial C2, and it does allow for schools as a conditional use. The hours of operation are pretty much just routine school hours, 6:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. There's of course the a little more generality to that as far as after school activities that will come with high schools, of course. But for the most part, that is the general operating environment of Academy of Excellence. They currently have other campuses, another high school on Wind Lake Road in Milwaukee, and that's about 100 students there right now. So they're hoping to have about anywhere from 100 to 125 students at this facility, and certainly enrollment could grow over time to perhaps 250 or so students. They do have the capacity for that within the school. The school itself, I think it's indicated in the staff report that at one point in time, there may have been closer to about 900 students in that school. Now, that may have been a combination of both this school in the foreground plus what is now the kinder care was once a primary school as well. So, but the enrollment when it was St. Rita's was significantly higher. And then over years, the school area was actually sort of transitioned to Mary Queen of Heaven for a period of time, and then later to Victory Christian School. The enrollment there was around 200. So what Academy of Excellence is proposing here is really sort of within the wheelhouse, and in many cases probably under what was previously there with other schools. They have about 25 employees, and they hope to begin classes September 1st of this year. And this is the site, the overall site plan. So the area, St. Rita's School, the 5-story building on the right or the left there is what they hope to purchase. And then the church, what says church parking that's outlined in yellow, that is a lease space that they would lease. It's a shared parking lot right now between the school and St. Rita's Church. And then the gymnasium building would also be leased. So as far as the existing parking areas within that north parking lot, there's roughly about 60 parking spaces currently within that area. And there is some students that do drive to school, very small number. Majority of transport to this facility are going to be via bus, 4 to 5 buses. And They have about 25 staff members, which would also drive and park more so on the eastern side of that leased parking spot space. Buses would enter the site from, I don't have a pointer here, but buses would enter the site from one of two driveways along 60th Street, just south of the school, outlined in red there. There's a driveway just south of a bus stop. I don't know if you can see it on the screen there, but that would be the main entry point for buses, and then they would work around that the parking stalls, stage, let students out, and the students would actually enter. There's an arrow on the back side of the school there that says student entrance. They would enter the school on the very south end of the school, across a small portion of asphalt in that area. So basically between the church building and the back of the school is where the main entrance for students would be. Aside from that, there is a refuse area shown, existing refuse area on the site, and that's going to be upgraded with a wood picket fence style surround. And then there's some landscaping proposed. Staff had recommended some landscaping, at least at this main entrance driveway off of 60th Street. And they have a variety of plantings there. I think a spruce and a juniper style of planting in that area. Our Department of Public Works Forestry Division would be reviewing that just for, suitability along 60th Street. But we appreciate their proposal to add some green space between the existing land and stone retaining wall and the sidewalk and it would also probably offer a little bit better presence to the main entry point as well off of 60th Street. There would be also bicycle parking behind the school on the south side of the school. And that would be between the refuse area and the main entrance. Just another view, bird's eye view. This is looking at the campus from the east, looking west, slightly west. Again, the school is on the right, the church in the middle, and then the gymnasium on the lower left. The two arrows there off of 60th Street show the main entry points to the north parking lot. And then there is another entry off of 61st Street. The school, Academy of Excellence, is though focusing on the main entry points being off of 60th Street, again with that bus staging running sort of in a counterclockwise fashion around the parking. And then the gym would be used primarily for Phi Ed classes. It's not a very large gym, so it's not going to support tournaments or anything like that. Really just sort of supportive of school activities, perhaps some after-school classes and stuff like that. But the KinderCare has a separate entry point off of Hayes Street, and there is actually a south parking lot as well, actually over two lots, but it looks like one parking lot. There is a south parking lot, so that should there ever be maybe say an event at the church plus the school, there is actually plenty of additional parking south of that gymnasium area. Which doesn't conflict with the operations of KinderCare or anything else.
Would you stay with that slide for a moment, Steve?
Sure. Yeah.
St. Rita's Church will continue to operate.
That's correct. Yeah.
And the gym will go with the new school, Academy of Excellence.
That's correct. Yeah.
And KinderCare is a separate entity altogether.
Yes. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
So the bigger picture is that, Academy of Excellence, with the approval of this conditional use, this would have to go before council next on March 18th. But should everything go well at the municipal approval scale, they would then close on the offer to purchase the school building, and then work with the St. Barnabas congregation and the Archdiocese to sort of take a look at the next step, which would be purchasing the rectory and the church building, the gymnasium, possibly the entire block for Academy of Excellence. So they do have a larger campus plan and envision to own this entire property. But for the time being, they're focusing, step one, purchase the school building, lease the north parking lot and the gymnasium from St. Rita's.
So St. Rita's Church is functioning. It will continue to function, but Academy of Excellence in its grand plan is hopeful of being able to acquire that building.
Correct. Yes.
So therefore St. Rita's goes somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's going to be discussed by the congregation as to which, where they're going to land, whether it's St. Augustine or Holy Assumption or,
Okay,
but that's to be determined. Yeah,
thank you.
yep. And St. Rita's, by the way, it does have 2 services per week, actually probably more like 3, but I think there's a mass at noon on, I think it's Wednesdays, and then there's a service on Sundays. And I think there's some other liturgy of the word service Friday or something like that, but it's not often, very busy throughout the week. And I think the uses should coexist quite nicely. Just another same site plan as before. And then this is just sort of explaining a little bit of the architecture. There's really not an exterior change, noticeable change that the public's going to see to any of the school buildings or gymnasium buildings. There is some roof work that needs to be done on the gymnasium, as well as interior work, both on the gymnasium as well as the school building. And all of those will go before as part of an occupancy permit, and building permits will be reviewed for code compliance with our code enforcement department. So there are going to be those submittals that have to come before the city for review as a condition of the conditional use. But as far as the north parking lot, we had talked about the shared parking area for the church, the school, and student parking, those 60 or so stalls, and that north area, the north parking lot area. The buses, about 4 to 5 buses being staged in that north parking lot area for student drop off and pickup. And then the building entry, I guess, again, is in proximity, where the students enter and leave the building is in proximity to where they would be picking up buses at the end of the day in that north parking lot. In terms of the floor by floor within that main school building, the lower level is Arnold Hall. That's what it was called with St. Rita's, and it's going to feature, it has a kitchen and a large open space which would be utilized as a cafeteria for breakfast and lunch periods. That open space could also be used for assemblies, musical gatherings, and other, large group events. The meals are prepared off-site and brought to this facility by Center for Independence. So there's no food preparation going on within the cafeterias on site here. It's all made somewhere else and then brought into the school building here is the plan. The classrooms, library and main office would be on the first floor, and then on the second floor, additional classrooms, staff offices, and a break room and lounge for staff. The third through fifth floors will be unused at this time. I think the third or fourth floor is once a part of a convent. So those third through fifth floors are currently unprogrammed at this time, and could be programmed in the future if enrollment does increase. And County Council does have the ability, and Planning Commission, for that matter, can consider enrollment caps as they have in the past for other schools. I think the Victory Christian School, there was a consideration of an enrollment cap at one point for that school. Whether or not that's warranted, staff is not recommending that as part of our recommendation, but certainly that could be considered. And then the gym building, as we had talked about, is going to be for Phi Ed classes, and again, it's a non-tournament type of facility. It's just too small to support, large tournament play events. So there's a lot of small words here, but the bottom line is that we are recommending approval. This would go before Common Council. We've scheduled the public hearing for March 18th, 7 o'clock, and that will be a public hearing, so property owners within 200 feet are notified. And those mailings will probably go out later this week and next, and then it's also published in the paper. Item 2 is basically a condition that we some landscaping updates. Point A is more or less satisfied with how they've better detailed the access points to the property, the bus staging areas, and staff parking areas and student parking. There is still some question about let's see, what was it? I think I guess they've shown the bicycle. There's quite a bit of item 2 has been satisfied, and part 3 is basically just indicating building permit review and occupancy permit is needed, and then they'll have to show compliance with shoring up any window openings or providing adequate separations between the rectory building and the school building, given that new property line that was put in. And then part 4 is really just a disclaimer. If there is to be any change in on-street parking requests, changing the restrictions of on-street parking, that'll need to be coordinated with our engineering department. As of right now, it's been indicated from the school that they have no intent of changing any of the parking restrictions around 61st or Lincoln, 60th or Hayes Street. That'll all stay as is. It's currently marked. There's going to be technically no drop off or pickup from streets, especially not from Lincoln Avenue. All of that's going to be managed on site within the property boundaries. And then lastly, just a signage and lighting plan being submitted for staff review and permitting for any future signage.
Thank you, Steve. Colleagues, any questions or discussion?
Yeah, so reading this, you guys had 3 campuses at one point, and now is it just going just down to this one then? You still have those campuses,
Correct.
those areas with the,
Correct. 2 of them are elementary K through 8, so this would be moving the high school 9 to 12 here.
gotcha, okay. So then, is that reducing then your enrollment when you move?
That would maintain it, so enrollment would stay the same.
It would stay the same? Okay. And then, and you get your funding by
The school choice program.
the state taxpayers?
Yeah.
Okay. So if it doesn't work out and maybe enrollment falls, what do you do then?
As far as,
Do you move the school to somewhere else? The funding that you get for the students, where does that go if they can't go to that school anymore? Does that follow the students then to
Correct.
the other schools?
correct,
On that?
yes.
Okay, that was my question.
Anything else? Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? I'll second it. With a motion and a second, any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I need to abstain.
1 abstention, 2 abstentions.
No, I'll approve.
You approve? Let's do this again. Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Welcome. Hope it works out well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item 4 is the site landscaping and architectural design review for Mother of Perpetual Help Parish at 2322 South 106th Street. Who's got that, Jack?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Wayne. So this is a pretty minor project at Mother Perpetual Help Parish. The property is located at South 106th and Cleveland, or South 106th Street and Lincoln Avenue. The zoning of the property is RC. They're proposing an alteration of the existing site to create a circular driveway on that northern portion of the lot. Additionally, future fundraising for an addition on the west side of the church will be proposed at a later time, but as of right now, we don't have any proposals for that. All right, so looking at the site plan, you'll see in gray, that's where that proposed circle drive will be located. They'll wrap around from 106th Street on the south and then wrap around to the north. This will provide access to the existing south wing of the church, along with the proposed future space that they may utilize in the future. Adjacent to that north curb, our engineering team identified an existing curb cut there. Staff recommends this to be restored to curb. We will have to have further discussion with the applicant regarding whether or not we can do a pedestrian crossing ramp right there. Our engineering team will be in contact with the applicant for that, but as of right now, that's what the recommendation stands in the staff report, to restore that to curb, and pending future review by the city engineer. With that being said, there is a recommendation for approval for the site landscaping and architectural design review for Mother of Perpetual Help Parish, and subject to the following conditions of removal of the existing curb cut, and then street excavation and driveway approach permits being applied for. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Colleagues, any discussion or questions?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion, we have a second from somebody. And those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, thank you. Number 5A, site landscaping and architectural design review for Easy Mart at 6843 West Beloit Road.
Thank
Who's
you,
go-
Wayne. I'll take it.
Thank you, Jack.
So looking at the overview of this property, it's on the east side of West Dallas, around 67th and Beloit, 68th and Beloit. Currently it's zoned C2 commercial. It was the previous user of Appliance Service Center Milwaukee, as you can see in that bottom image. The new proposal for this site is by the new owner of the property, Jack Pell. He's also represented by Nathan Remitz. They're in the audience tonight. Proposed for this site is a convenience store with a tasting and coffee bar. Total size of the building is 5,954 square feet. That convenience store will be in operation from 6 a.m. to midnight. There was initially a plan for more food on this site, but after further discussion, there will be no commercial kitchen, but there will be serving small appetizers and frozen foods on site. Part of this process, if the site landscaping gets approved tonight, the applicant will have to apply for a Class B liquor license to utilize that alcohol tasting room and then just a sale of alcohol as well. Looking at the site and floor plan, immediately upon walking in, you'll be greeted by a very open concept, which houses the mercantile shelving for different products on display, and then also the coolers for alcoholic beverages. Additionally, there will be a proposed tasting bar with seating near the entrance of the building. This will be housed right by the cashier and checkout area as well. Additionally, you have other rooms such as restrooms and then shelving towards the back of the first floor. There are no plans to renovate the second floor tenant spaces. Currently, there are about 6 apartment spaces on the property on the second floor of the building. And then additionally, there are no plans to renovate that basement floor. That will be continued to be utilized as storage. Overall, looking at the site, based on the landscaping plans that were submitted, there are some existing shrubbery and grass, ornamental grasses that will be utilized. Given the proximity to Beloit and the impact and the visibility this building has, staff is recommending an extension of this landscaping to reduce the visual impact of the lot and reduce that parking area visibility. Additionally, upon a staff visit, staff notified that there is a chain link fence that may need repair. The staff is recommending utilizing wooden fencing or another appropriate material to combat this. Additionally, we'd like to understand from the applicant if there are opportunities for outdoor seating plans, and then additionally a refuse enclosure being indicated with that 4-sided wooden fence. And for the site plan to be approved, the lighting will need to be in compliance with our zoning code and not pointing at eastern residences. This is an easy fix for the applicant to achieve. Parking, the lot is shared and the owner has purchased both businesses sharing the lot, so that won't be a difficulty between sharing parking. Totaling the lot, there are 22 spots along with 1 ADA stall. Upon a staff visit, staff notified there is a bit of light repair work needed just in some key sections of the parking lot. This will be an easier fix than a complete overhaul of the parking lot. Additionally, here's an image of that fencing. Looking at the architectural plan, there aren't many notable changes proposed with this. They are replacing those existing windows with energy efficient windows. The existing columns will be boxed out with 8-inch LP trim, and then a light paint job will be applied upon the facade features. What's interesting about the current building is that there's a large canopy with signing upon it that is very notable when you're driving down Beloit. This will be replaced with similar character and placement. And then one thing the staff notified was that with the canopy, there was over the years bird nesting appearing in the canopy. So there will be minor alterations needed to bring this canopy up to aesthetic standards. But overall, the applicant has, Jack Pally has purchased the property and he's investing into West Allis. And with that being said, we have a recommendation for Common Council approval of the site landscaping plans and architectural design review, subject to the condition that the Common Council considers the appropriate liquor license and extension of licensed premises associated with the proposed use, revisions to the site landscaping architectural plans to show additional landscaping, indication of outdoor seating areas, pavement repair areas, along with that fence repair and refuse enclosure. And then additionally, understanding the details upon the restoration of that canopy entrance, and then just some paint scheme details. Overall, we will also require an exterior site lighting plan and then a signage plan for any signage submitted. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Colleagues, discussion, questions? I have a question for somebody. That is the owner, the applicant in agreement on the various landscaping items that you outlined?
We have been working with the applicant and he is willing to accept our conditions of approval.
And thank you. And without the liquor license, this wouldn't go forward, correct?
We are really hoping to acquire the liquor license. With it, the business plan will suit very well.
Sure.
So we are really hoping for that to work out.
So the first step is to get a liquor license.
It is. With that being said, even if we don't get that, then we can set up the other elements of the convenience store. So even without that, we would be able to set up our business there, because we are going to have a coffee bar, convenience store items.
Well, thank you.
Yes,
Best wishes.
thank you.
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion for approval and a second from Kathleen. Any discussion, further discussion? None? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome. Hope it works out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Is that it?
We've got one last item. Earlier this week, we had was it last week, we had a ribbon cutting for the new apartment building over on 6400 block of Greenfield Avenue.
Yes.
And that was wonderful. Jeff Hook and Joel Galbraith are moving ahead. They're partnering on that development, and we're excited to see that happen in West Allis. It'll be a lower density style of apartment building with a small commercial element on the corner. Planning Commission had approved that last. It's with your help and council's approval and talented architects that this is going to bring it to fruition here. So yeah. And then Jack, I think we've got some other news with Planet Fitness.
Yeah, so you can see Planet Fitness opened up in the town center. They didn't come to Plan Commission, but they did some great changes to the site. As you may remember, it was Experience Fitness at one point. They've really opened up that tenant space in there with the exposed ceiling, and previously there was a drop ceiling in Experience. So that's a new biz checkout. Land by Label groundbreaking. Neon Oil Co. open on 84th and Greenfield. And then for active work under construction, we have North Shore Bank. You can see the framing going up around, is that 105th and National?
Yeah.
Then you have Checkers, the foundation is going in right now right by Festival Foods. Tsunami Car Wash. Interior work is happening in Pan Asia Grocery. They have much of their exterior work completed. The DPW facility along 53rd and Burnham is well upon its way to being complete. Bars and Recreation, they're still working out some different things with the financing. And then, but they are moving forward. The Deco Plaza in the top right corner of the PowerPoint slide, that's going forward with construction. And then 7113 West National had a minor facade update. They're actively under construction. They've removed the wood that concealed the tenant space and updated with new windows. They're still under construction to do some other changes, but we also have Caulfields in the bottom right that opened in downtown in the former Benno space. There was a ribbon cutting last week for that as well. With that being said, if there's any other questions on any other projects, just let us know.
Do you have any questions, colleagues? There being none, and Jack and Steve, thank you for your presentations this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn? We have a second motion in several seconds. Those in favor, we're out of here. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
All right.
The guy that's now.
Yeah.
Who's he do?
Yeah, discussing the apartment there. Architectural features.
Yeah.
Black Theroux, yeah.
We're out of here.
Well, that's fine.
But they're fine with
There's also something with the special assessment that they're willing to work, there's something with the negotiation, but I'll have
Sure,
to
Mary,
discuss
the
with city
perpetual help,
engineer a
other
little bit more
perpetual
about
help.
it. And then I'll
Represents
Because that approach is a trip hazard. So we're willing to put this in.
Thank you.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
We'll
Question,
check, 'cause we still-
any updates on opening the sidewalk
That aren't
there
gonna park
at
in the
72nd
They're
and
gonna park on the
Parkfield
street
there,
and walk.
over by the jewelry
Yeah,
store?
so yeah, we'll
Or
consider
Piercing
that.
Pagoda?
Oh, with opening that?
Okay.
Well,
We're-
there's a,
We're ready to go
it's
with
gotta be
Okay.
safe. I mean,
We
there's
got the
that
contract
corner of the
sitting on our
buildings.
desk.
Yeah.
We're waiting, we already got our spicy approval.
There's some
We have the
structural
money.
issues
We're
there
ready to go.
that we're trying
Okay.
to
And they're ready to start sometime
rectify
in
with the
April.
owner, and
Okay, yeah.
so I think there's gonna be some shoring up going on there. Wayne?
Alright.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, there will be.
Nice job. Thanks for your leadership.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Have a good night. Yeah, cause that's been closed for going on 2 years now, and
Yeah.
it's a concern for, cause I like.
We're kind of stepping in as the
Yeah.
Nice to see
Good to see you.
fixer of last resort. Now, really, the
No, you're
property
fine.
owner should be taking care of this, but the property owner is saying he doesn't have any money, he can't do it, so it's been through a sort of a
I've known
legal,
you for years.
legal back and forth, and I
Yes.
think it's down to the
Yeah.
point
Sorry,
now
you
where the city's stepping in and
I'm representing Mary Queen of Heaven, our mother perpetual.
getting somebody out there to take a closer look at it and probably end up shoring it up, just so it doesn't fall. But by the time, I don't know that it's gonna fix anything in the sidewalk, I think the sidewalk is gonna be,
That's an original.
I think it's still gonna be sort of fenced off for a little bit, so.
Yeah, cause
So-
like,
I just gave
you know, with the
it-
Piercing Pagoda, there's a lot of times there's kids that go over there,
Yeah,
and then got the bar right there too, and then
yeah.
you have to step on into Greenfield Avenue to walk around there, and you know how bad people drive around there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it is what it is, but it's like,
He's basically paralyzed from the
I
waist.
mean, I live right there, so I have to do it all the time myself when I walk in the area,
Say hi to the boys for me, I don't get to see him very
Yeah.
much.
so.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's like, it's kinda getting to the point where it's like getting ridiculous in a way.
right, yeah.
I see him once in a great movie.
I just gotta make sure.
Well, you don't know what.
Oh, it's good to see you.
Yeah, Jeff.
I'm gonna go
Okay.
say hi to
Yeah.
maybe leave the.
Thank you.
Good seeing you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So,
Hey, Jessica.
Have a good night, guys.
So Steve, do you think
Yeah.
the building permit will be needed for the Mother Perpetual Help? I didn't think.
No, I mean, I think it's just probably just working with engineering and whatever driveway permit they
Okay.
need or something like that. I don't think you're gonna, I mean, paving wise, I mean, we can touch base with Shelley if she wants a paving permit, I guess, but
that's fine,
yeah.
because we're ready to go.
Okay.
And the other project, you guys already know kind of about it, that we haven't started capital campaign for, because Archdiocese says we have to wait.
Yeah.
Because they did an Archdiocese-wide capital campaign, so we have to wait 2 years before we can start the official fundraising for that
Oh,
addition.
okay, yeah,
Because of the Archdiocese rule.
Right,
Pain in my
right.
butt, but,
yeah,
I know they're gonna have a problem with the Archdiocese on selling that school, because that's already was, the last Archbishop already said no.
oh, really?
Yeah, they're gonna have a problem with that. Because we were trying to put the school there that went out to 116th Street.
Yeah,
and that didn't fly either.
Hmm.
And the old Archbishop said no to even selling that building.
I thought they would have had that worked out by now.
Well, now, with the new Archbishop,
Yeah.
they may have
They
a
may
better
be,
plan,
yeah.
but the old one,
I think they made it sound like buying the church was gonna be a little bit more of a
that's gonna be out.
drawn out thing,
Yeah.
but the school sounded like that was ready to go.
Yeah, no, I was just at a meeting and that was a definite no from the
Okay.
Archbishop, but that was the old Archbishop,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
we'll see. But
Okay.
yeah, we're all ready to go, we just needed to get this approval,
Yeah.
as long as the one big thing is putting, what is it, 3 foot?
Oh, yeah, probably,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's about 3 feet or so.
Yeah, that's all we want, we don't, and that approach is so bad, it needs to get ripped out, it's about that far high on one side and that far low on another side. We have no problem ripping it out and curbing it, we have no problem with that, we just wanna have a handicap.
Okay. Do we have your contact, is it in the application?
Yeah.
I was the applicant.
Okay, good, for lawyers, I was thinking it's Chris Kidd or something, but yeah, okay,
He was our architect.
okay, got it.
Kid was the architect on
Okay.
the plan.
Okay, good, yeah, so we could, if we could just, I guess we could send you the whatever engineering, and maybe, we could have Shelley just follow up with us and see if.
Yeah, just let me know.
Permit or not.
Good night, Wayne.
Good night, Wayne. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, as long as we can put that, as I said, we have people that won't use the driveway because they're handicapped, they're still driving. They'll park on the street, but they'll still walk with their walker up to the entrance, and we're like, we gotta have something there.
Getting closer.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
that's the only